So it's Friday, everybody, and you know I enjoy a lot of fun things on Fridays, and there is nobody more fun than our next guest, who now holds the record for the most times on this show. It is Mark Abrams, author and columnist, and our favorite person who brings us all the great things that are going on in the Ig Nobel Awards. They just had their ceremony the other day, so please help me welcome back Mark Abrahams.
Hey.
Abrams, it's
Abraham.
Mark, you now hold the record of the most number of times anyone's been on the show. It's two.
I'm honored, I guess. Thank you.
It's big, and I feel like I just spent a whole evening with you because I have been watching the video. But I started watching last night. I was watching it this morning. It was so funny. I loved every bit of it. But how was it? Was it fun to put together?
Oh, yeah. I should explain for people who don't know about this.
Tell me.
These are prizes. We've been doing this every year since 1991. They're called the Ig Nobel Prizes. And they're for things that make people laugh and then think. These are real things. These are people who have done things or had things happen to them.
So real year,
yeah, we picked 10 winners. Most of them are about science, but there are some other things. And we get a bunch of Nobel Prize winners who hand the Ig Nobel Prizes to the winners. So yeah, we had 10 new winners. We had paper airplane throwings. That's a part of the tradition, and all sorts of other stuff.
I love the panel at the top. So this is the panel at the top that kind of introduces the show, and they're super funny. I love it, Mark. There's such a tone of like smart nerdiness that just is everywhere, and I love every single minute of it. That guy is hilarious.
That's Rich Roberts. He has a Nobel Prize in, let's see, physiology or medicine is the category. And he's been part of our show every year for, close to 30 years now.
It's so funny.
Yeah, here he is handing out a prize to one of the new winners. The man in the hat has just won an Ig Nobel Prize. He's a man named Jan Zalasowicz. He's a professor in England. And he won his prize because he explained why many scientists like to lick rocks.
So this was interesting because apparently years ago, before there were lots of ways to identify rocks in different ways, one of the only ways to do that, I guess, people found is, I guess there's some that are saltier. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, so there are a few things going on here. You know, geologists like rocks and they study stuff. And this matters because we use the stuff that's in the ground to build things and all sorts of stuff. So you want to make sure that people find good stuff and know what it is. But if you pick up a rock, how do you know what this thing is? And one thing that the winner has explained is that when you pick up a rock, sometimes it's hard to see if the rock is dry, the details in it. But if it's wet, a lot of the details become much, much clearer.
Wow.
And so what's the quick and simple and cheap way to make something wet? Yeah, you lick it. And geologists get in the habit of doing this. And as with anything else, when you do it a lot, you get better at it and you get to see and understand more stuff. And also, as they do that, a lot of them get this talent of recognizing by taste what kind of rock it is.
So crazy.
Yeah, some of them are salty and some are other tastes.
It's
also,
so
some of them like to do it.
I was going to say, it seems a little kooky too. But before you continue, because there's 9 more to go. But can you show everybody, because I know every year the award changes. Can you show the award for this year?
Yeah, I'll show the prize. We also have a theme for every year's ceremony, a different theme. This year, the theme was water. And so the prize was a little box that contains 12 cans of cola, which contains water. And this is the box. And it's a special box. When we do this on stage, which is the way we always did it in a big theater before the pandemic, we have all these people, 1,200 people in the audience, 10 winners from around the world, a bunch of Nobel, all up there, and they physically hand the prizes and shake hands and stuff. Well, we can't do that during pandemic time. Yeah. So the meetings happen over Zoom. So we've got this little ritual. We figured out how a person could physically hand a prize to another person who's on a different continent over the internet. So what we do is we make a PDF document that can be mailed. So if you're a winner, we would mail it to you. We also mail it to the person who will hand the prize to you. You print it out. It's got instructions on it about, where are they here somewhere? Instructions about how to make this, fold it and make it into a physical object. And then
so a lot of money goes into these prizes.
A lot of money, at least a dime or so. Yeah. A lot
of money. All right.
So the way we present the prizes now is the person presenting it says, congratulations or whatever they say, and here's your prize. And then they hand it out off the side of the screen. And then the winner does that. And it works out pretty well.
It was so good. It was so good. So talk us through some of the other ones because, bug one. The bug one was so creepy.
I can see how you would feel that way. And most people do. You don't mind if I have notes here on this stuff. Yeah. This was a prize in the field of mechanical engineering. We pick the prize winners first, and then we try to figure out what category can we invent that describes it. The mechanical engineering prize went to a bunch of people who were at Rice University in Houston, and they won for reanimating dead spiders to use them as mechanical gripping tools. So
in the video, it explained how in humans, our biceps and triceps are just worked on flexors and extensions.
Yeah, right. So when you flex like that, you've got one set of muscles on one side that's pulling up and a different set that's pulling the other way. Spiders only have one of those. And the way they move in the other direction is they shift the fluid inside their body.
And they said it was hydraulics.
Hydraulic means fluids are, moving around. And so that's what they did. They inject fluids or they remove fluids, and the spider arm goes like this. They also explained that you probably have seen dead spiders, and you remember a little bit how they're usually curled up. The reason they're curled up is the muscles on that side are pulling, but there's no fluid pushing in the other direction. So they're always going to go in that same direction.
It's so crazy. And then they said that they were able to pull up lightweight items as well as items that were the same weight, and even some items that were heavier than their own weight.
Yeah, these spiders are, for their size and weight, they're really strong, even when they're dead.
Yeah, I don't want any of
all those creepy movies really have a lot of
they were saying that they were basically starting a whole new science of, it was necrohydraulics.
They invented a word to describe what they're doing.
Bionic.
Necrobiotics, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, it was really interesting and gross at the same time. Yeah.
And I've gotten to know them a little bit. They're really very nice, even sweet people.
Yeah, everybody seems so excited. Oh my gosh, tell them about the toilet.
Yeah. I can see from your body language. This is a mixed interest topic.
Yeah.
It's a doctor originally from South Korea. He's now at Stanford University in California. And he and some colleagues developed what's called the Stanford toilet. It's a toilet that has a lot of equipment built in. The purpose of all this extra stuff is to try to identify right away if somebody is ill. If they can tell by the stuff that's coming out of the person's body that you got problems, that's a good thing. Catch your illness really early.
So
that's a good thing. Yeah.
It was like a litmus test for your urine.
There's a chemical sensor. There are cameras, all kinds of stuff. And, they're looking at the two kinds of stuff that come out of people. Now, it's not quite so simple or so sweet a story because they do have cameras and stuff, and there are privacy issues. So the people doing this are very aware of this and very agonized that they're trying to do this wonderful thing, but it's also got this dangerous element at the same time.
That's not the guy, Shell.
No, that's not the guy. That's somebody else.
Michelle's literally trying to. Michelle, there's a picture of him standing in front of the statue at Stanford, in front of that guy doing the same thing. I don't know. I should have told Michelle which ones we were going to do first, but it was kind of crazy. But the researchers' whole point was, as you said, to be able to, monitor things so you would know at a moment's notice. Like it would be able to catch kidney stones very quickly because
kidney stones might I don't know whether that would show up that way. You would know if you had a kidney stone.
I would definitely know sometimes, but I would imagine if it was testing, I don't know what they test. The urine test is testing if it's blood in the urine or a change in the pH, like Austin just said, or whatever.
Oh, they would measure all those things. Kidney stones, by the way, were the subject of an Ig Nobel Prize a few years ago. We gave a prize to some other doctors who discovered that sometimes if you have kidney stones, you can get rid of them by taking a roller coaster ride.
I did read that one. I did. And it was funny because they rode so many roller coasters that they could narrow down. They told you, like, here are the 4 roller coasters that will absolutely move your kidney stone.
Or maybe not absolutely, but likely.
Likely.
And they discovered this because they had a patient who had kidney stones and terrible pain and who went to Disney World, rode on the roller coaster, and immediately passed a kidney stone. And what did he do? Because he had more than one kidney stone, he got right back on the roller coaster and did it.
He rode it again. I thought the same thing. I was so interested in that one.
Yep.
So, that's the Nobel Peace
This
guy.
is the Nobel laureate who handed out the Ig Nobel Prize to the inventor of the Stanford toilet. And this is Artem Pataputian, and he took the time and the trouble before the ceremony to find that T-shirt to sort of honor the winner.
That's so funny. And I loved who were all the musicians, because each one, there was an accordion, there was a trumpet, I think a cornet at one point. It was just so funny.
Oh, drummer, all sorts of, Before each of the 10 prizes, I announce what prize it'll be, the biology prize or whatever. And then a musician comes on and does some little fanfare. Like that. And we have different musicians. They also are scattered around the world.
So funny. So funny. All right. What was another one? What was the water one? I forget, the one that Michelle just had up a second ago.
Well, another part of the ceremony, we have the 10 prizes, but between the prizes, we do other stuff. We have sometimes these little tiny lectures, and that's what you're seeing here. This is, we call it a 24/7 lecture, where the person doing the lecture has a topic they're going to talk about, and they do 2 quick lectures. First, they describe it in complete detail in 24 seconds. And then they describe it in a much more clear way that anybody can understand in 7 words.
7 words.
So this is Dr. David Hu. He's a professor at Georgia Tech, and his topic was water in the human body. Now, as it happens, he himself has won 2 Ig Nobel Prizes in the past. He and his team discovered, by going to the zoo and watching lots of animals in action, that almost all mammals, giant and tiny and everything in between, almost all of them urinate in about the same amount of time, in about 21 seconds on average.
Was that in this year's thing?
No. That was a number of years ago, but we had him back to do a little lecture.
I think you must have shown an article from him too, because I remember seeing that. Yeah. So everybody pees the same amount of time?
On average. And of course, when people get older, things start to not work quite as reliably.
So crazy. There was another one about nose hair.
This was done by some doctors out in California, and they tried, and I guess succeeded, at counting whether the number of nose hairs is the same in a person's two nostrils. And the way they did this was to look inside the nostrils of a bunch of cadavers.
Obviously.
Do you remember why they
Well, they said that it was, they had a lot of patients with alopecia.
right.
And if you have alopecia, you don't have nose hair. And they were seeing that a number of their alopecia patients were much more susceptible to getting sick or to allergies. And so had decided to, because nobody, I guess, had ever really studied nose hair. How many do you have? How far does it go up into your nose? It was very interesting. Yeah. And it's so crazy that it's 2023 and nobody's been like, maybe we should look at this. It's just funny that
yeah, well, you know,
body that
nose hairs. Doctors in general are pretty sure nose hairs, in addition to whatever emotion you might get when you think about them, they're probably doing something about your health and probably protecting you in some way. But nobody really understands terribly well, and there hasn't ever been much research on it. So that's why when they had these patients and they wanted to, you know, answer some questions, and they realized there's no way we can look up the answer or even go in and talk to somebody because nobody knows. So they started to look into it.
Yeah. So crazy. Now, there was one towards the end because I was running out of time.
Yeah.
That was about a vegetable, maybe.
Oh, this was a couple of people in Japan, a couple of professors there who took some chopsticks.
Oh, yeah, yeah. This is what I was thinking of, but go ahead. Yeah, I like this one.
So these are electrified chopsticks. And what they found was when you use these, that changes the taste of what you're eating. And one simple thing they found is they can take a piece of food that has very little taste, and by putting a little electricity in the chopsticks, they can make it taste salty.
Yeah, that was so interesting because the fellow was talking about how, you know, more people are trying to eat healthy and low salt foods, but doesn't really taste that great. But they found that when using either electric chopsticks or an electric fork, that it actually gave the sensation of a saltier food.
Yeah. So what they're saying is that they're pretty sure this is a way people will be able to eat food that tastes real salty the way you like it, but without the danger if you're one of those people who should not be eating a lot of salt. Yeah. That picture you just showed had the two winners, who were the two Japanese people on the right, and the person next to them is Peter Doherty, who is in Australia, and he's a Nobel Medicine Prize winner. He was the one presenting the prize to them. And they had a nice little discussion about this invention and what it might do for the world.
That's so interesting. And there was something else that the fella had said that he was working on next that was pretty interesting too. Do you remember?
I remember as much as you do, and I don't remember the
right. I remember whatever it was that he said that he was working on next was also pretty interesting. Yeah. But I can't remember what it was. Yeah. No, so it was after them. I didn't get a chance to get this far, but it was a man, and he said something about like Brussels sprouts or something. Let me see.
Let's see. I'm not sure about the Brussels sprouts.
Oh, spawning fish.
Spawning fish. No, oh, well, the physics prize this year went to a big team, mostly in Spain. That's who you see there. And that's the man in the lower left is Wolfgang Ketterle, who is a Nobel Physics Prize winner who presented the prize. This team won the prize because they discovered that out in the ocean, in the coastline, there's an awful lot of mixing that happens between levels of water, because when there are anchovies around and they're in heat, so to speak, the sexual activity of these thousands of anchovies mixes the water violently. And this is something no scientists realize, that there's all this action of the water in the oceans that happens because fish are swimming around violently.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. So sexual anchovies, large groups of anchovies having sex in the ocean causes
You can
what?
think of it as when thousands of anchovies gather and have an orgy.
Okay.
That mixes the water up all around them.
And so that's what we're saying. So horny anchovies causes waves in the water?
This is usually deep in the water. So there's all this motion of the water happening under the surface that we don't notice being above the surface. There's all that stuff going on down deep that we didn't know about.
I'm going to be looking at anchovies very differently moving forward.
Yeah. Is this going to affect the way you order pizza?
It might. Diana, you like anchovies? Yes. She loves sexual anchovies.
Ah, now if we want to link things up, anchovies tend to be pretty salty.
Oh,
and that sort of, you can, if you want, link that idea up with the thing we were just talking about. These chopsticks that are electrified can make something seem more
because
salty.
when the guy was doing the presentation about the electrified, was it him or somebody else? I think, yeah, it was him, about the electrified chopstick. He said, how many people have ever licked a 9-volt battery? And I was like, no, I haven't. Is that what he's saying? That is.
Yeah, he's saying that in a way was, I guess, how they started to think about this, that a lot of people have had that experience, especially when they were kids, but a lot of adults do that too. I don't know why, but they do. Well, I do know why, because sometimes if you have you have a battery inside whatever, and you think the battery's dead, so you take the battery out, you want to know, is there still any electricity in it?
Right.
And a lot of people will take it and put it on their tongue. And these guys noticed that it has a taste when you do that. So they started wondering, can we start to manipulate taste in people by putting some electricity on it?
That are licking rocks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of licking.
And that too. This is great. You're tying up all these different things.
I really am bringing it all back home.
And in fact, we're going to, for the first time, we have a new kind of event we're doing in a couple of months. Most of the new winners are traveling here to Massachusetts.
For what?
And they're going to be all in one room, and they're going to ask each other questions about their work.
Oh, that's so interesting. Well, let me know if you need me. I'm around, Mark.
We should talk. We should talk.
I got a lot of questions. Well, listen, this was great. Did we miss anybody? Did we hit all 10 of them? I can't.
Oh no, we hit just a few. Anybody can. We've got the video of the whole ceremony. It's up on our website, so anybody can see these winners in action. It's at improbable.com.
What's your website again, Mark?
Yeah, improbable.com.
Improbable.com. So
and the picture you just showed was another part of the ceremony. We always have a new little opera. So that was part of it.
I did. I saw was that the band that was on the water, or that was
no, the band was a whole separate thing. There's a lot of stuff jammed into this ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was great. You guys do such a good job. And it's so funny because I think that scientists in general, we have a certain idea that scientists are kind of quiet and reserved. And for the most part, they are. But you could just see how excited they were that somebody was just as into their research as they were. And so it was just lovely. And I think that the Nobel laureates just add something so lovely to that as well. And you guys do such a nice job, especially for something that used to be, everybody was present for, to then have to move to internet. I think you do a really lovely job. Is the hope that next year you might be in all?
I hope so. It's a difficult question. It's become much more difficult to organize large events with people traveling from many places and lots of organizations involved. The world really has changed that way in many different ways.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this update. I love hearing about all of it, and I think you're doing great work.
Hey, thanks.
It's fun to talk to you. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Mark.
Okay. Bye.